starting saying Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In today's session, we are going to deal with an interesting, a famous, well-known American figure of literature, Robert Frost. You can find this topic on the text on Rapid page, start from page 35. As you know, as usual, as always, we have several points to study concerning this topic, concerning this idea. We have author biography, we have the text or the poem, okay, then we have analysis. And analysis is very much easy. You can read about it. Okay. Important things we have here is what is the themes. What are the themes discovered in this poem, in this passage, in this piece of poetry? We have three important themes, as I remember, okay, like individualism. How can we connect it with the poem? Choice and consequences. And choice and consequences are philosophical matters. Allegorically, we can say that this poem with the two roots, okay, represent what? Represent our choice in life, our choices, our decisions. And who is going to have a choice? The person himself, he or she. What is the result? The result is paid by what? By the person himself again. As what? As a consequence. If you decide something, if you choose something, you carry the responsibility. Okay? It is you to decide, and the chooser is you. What is that? Again, as a philosophical matter, we can say that this poem is representing life. This experience, I think it is not available in your book, but you can get it from what? From the discussion. Reconsideration. Consider again and again and again. Okay. Why we have more than one road? The road not taken. The road not taken. So it means that there are road taken and another one not taken. Why? So it depends on a choice, a decision. قرار. الإنسان الذي يتخذ قرار يتحمل مسؤولية قراره. This is what you call the core, at the center of our point here. So the poem, as you see with me, I think it is 4 stanzas. Yes, it is composed of 4 stanzas. Stanzas number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. I advise you to read the poem and to listen, more than reading, to listen to the poem, okay, from the sources. I will upload the poem on Rapid. You can listen to it anytime, inshallah. But also there are several recordings. Okay, you can find them easily. Just write The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. You can find the recordings by different voices. And I advise you to listen to a native speaker, to be as close as possible to the real pronunciation which we learners need to understand. In the first stanza, as it is in the others, okay, we can start with what? With the rhyme, because it is easy. Here it is easy and direct. As you see with me, we can read the last sounds of each line of the first stanza. What we have wood, stood, and cloud. Cloud, but the sound should be like similar to this. Wood, stood, cloud. The first, the third, and the fourth. The next one is Both and growth. Both and growth. They are what? All of them, they are alliterate and they are rhymed. What we understand that the rhyme of this stanza is A, B, A, B. Okay, we can find it like that. So we can generalize the same rhyme on the others, but it can be with differences. But if we see, we can find that it is the same, A, B, A, B. Next one, the second stanza, we have fair, where, there. They are what? They are rhyming and they are alliterate. Claim and same. Claim and same. So what we have the same. We can generalize the same rhyme here, or let's say C, D, C, C, D. And to generalize on the other lines, lay, day, way, the lines here, and also black and back. Next one is high, I, by. Hence and difference, hence and runs. Okay, we can find the rhyming or alliterate sounds together. This is the first discovering from appearance in this poem. How many stanzas are there? 4. Don't forget that. As I said, we need in our study to focus on several grounds. The first one, we need to know something about this literary figure, this person, the writer or the poet or the literary figure, American literary figure, Robert Frost. Who is he? We know something about his career, his life, the author biography. All these have the same indication, the same meaning. Okay. In the next page, we have the poem with different points to concern what? To concern verse, the meter, the musical devices, like what? What we have of the musical devices we need to focus on. Okay, we have satire. And look to the line, huh? I need you, when you read, because you have time, to read again and come back to this box, indicating box of the literary devices to help you. Imagery, imagination, simple, symbolism. Okay, it is with this what you call square inserted with I, italic I, and personification with the green line. Personification. Here we have assonance, musical devices, and I don't know if you studied, but of course you didn't study with me appreciating poetry or Victorian romantic poetry, because if you study with that, you will study with you know all these elements in details, like assonance, consonance, alliteration, and others. Here we have also rhyme scheme. The rhyme is A, is like A. Here we have this one, as we mentioned before, A, B, A, A, B, C, D, C, C, D, like that, to go with the same point. Concerning the rhythm, concerning the cadence, the tone, the music, the weaves inside the line or lines or among or between the lines, what we have. Yes, we have I am, we have an upset, a true chi or true key, dictile, okay, and spondee. All these are important to realize, but I don't know, as I said, I hope that to get time to explain to you these figures, okay, as we what you call figures of speech, concerning what? Concerning poetry as literary or glossary of literary terms. To start, again, indicating the purpose of the lesson, the plan of the lesson. We can say that at the end of the session, you should be able to, should be familiar with, should know the following issue. to be able to speak, to talk about the following issue. The author, as we mentioned before, the author, who is he? We need to know about his life, his circumstances of life, his education, and the most important is what is his production concerning poetry or any literary genre. The text, we started dealing with the poem. We have analysis, we have themes, we have some of the themes here available, and also we need to speak about the form. The form we started to talk about when we spoke about these one. These elements are dealing with the form, the making, the composing, the writing, the style, the design of the poem. Going to the author, to the writer, to Robert Frost. Who is he? A question can come to you. Who is Robert Frost? So, Robert Frost was born in 1874. San Francisco, a city in America. San Francisco, one of the nice places there. His father died when he was 11 years, so he was orphaned from the side of his father. Then his family transferred to Lawrence, Massachusetts. Lawrence, the city, Massachusetts, the state. The place in Corba, Massachusetts, the state or the city, big city. The place in which his grandparents lived, okay, because his father has died, so he lived, okay, in this new city, not in San Francisco, but in Lawrence, Massachusetts. Robert Frost graduated from a high school of Lawrence in 92 of the 19th century, 1800, and shared valedictorian honors. Valedictorian honors, like some of you, I hope to be some of you to be what? To be valedictorian. Valedictorian, what we mean by valedictorian? Valedictorian is when the person is, okay, the person he or she has the high degrees in his studies. The student with the best grades who usually delivers the valedictory address at commencements في حفلات التخرج وفي حفلات الاحتفالات الدراسية بالخريجين يكون هناك المتحدث، والمتحدث هذا يكون من أفضل الطلبة اللي هم المتفوقين دراسيا valedictorian. So he is a valedictorian and he got honor، يعني نقول بالعربي خريج مع مرتبة الشرف. اوكي، مرتبة الشرف الأولى، مرتبة الشرف الثانية أو وهكذا. So with honors, with what? With Eleanor White. Eleanor White, who is she? She is his wife, the future wife, whom he married. So this couple now, they become couple as students, then admiration and love, and after that married or marriage. They married and became a couple or making a family. After graduation, Frost experienced some works and finally served as a reporter in newspaper. The best work for a literary figure is working in a newspaper or a magazine or in any literary or academic place, location, post, like this one. A reporter, to make him able to deal with writing, reading and writing. A reporter كاتب مقالات. He published a chapbook, small. Chapbook means a small one, of poems at his own payment because of beginning. He is still less experienced and maybe no many publishers try to have a sort of what we call adventure to publish on their expenses. So he could not find a good publisher at the beginning. And instead, he published this small book of poems by his own what we call payment, with his own expenditure, and contributed to the verse. The birds do thus to the New York World magazine. Contributing means to dealing with. New York Magazine, a famous magazine, especially in what you call social elements. Literature is part of that, called the Independent. In 1897, Robert Frost entered Harvard University, the best university in America, and maybe the best university in the world. Harvard University is one of the best universities. It is the first, I can say. Of course, but I don't say I take them for granted, but it is like that from little experience that Harvard University is the first in America and in the world, according to the assessment and evaluation of the specialists, what we call organizations. But left before finishing degree requirements owing to why he finished, he left, not finished, he quit, he left the school, the university, okay, without finishing the degree, without having the degree, because of some reasons. Two of them, they are what? Owing to, because of an attack with tuberculosis, a disease, as well as the birth of the second child. So these two reasons can come in the exams, true or false, matching, filling, okay, completing. You have to realize that. These two reasons were the reason or the cause for him to leave the university before finishing. Okay. A disease, tuberculosis, and the birth of the second child. He could not finish. He could not go to the university to do the lectures, to have the exams, and also the birth of the second child needs him to work more to provide what you call a living for his family. After less than 4 years, the eldest child of him died. Here we have the second child. It means that there is another one before him. And this first child died, okay, after some years, 3 years and more, and some months like that. In 1912, the beginning of the 20th century, so the family, Frost and his family, moved with his family to what? To small holding in Buckinghamshire. Traveled to Buckinghamshire and lived in small holding, in which he wrote productively. And here is the idea, here is the point. Here is the point which we need to focus on when we say productively. In a good way. Hugely not with the size, but with the number, attempting to perfect his distinctive putting voice. And here's what we have. He has an attempt. He has an endeavor. He has a try. Okay, to what? To make his achievement perfect. To make his work perfect. Perfect from perfection means to be a distinctive poet. To be a distinctive poet, a famous poet, well-known poet. During this period, 1912 around, okay, he met several literary pioneers, and it is what? It is a sort of luck for him to meet several literary pioneers, such as the poet of innovative literary methods. So we see the Jewish one, Ezra Pound. Again, yeah, this one is very interesting one, very famous American poet, but he is a Jewish, by the way, Ezra Pound, and a friend of many pioneers in poetry, especially in poetry. One of them is T.S. Eliot, a very close friend of Ezra Pound. And the young English poet allied with the Georgian poetry movement, and perhaps in Britain, the second one, who is he? Edward Thomas. So these literary figures, these two American intellectuals, they were sort of inspiration for him. For whom? For Robert Frost. Soon, he issued his first volume of poetry. After publishing the sham book, the small book. Then later on he published a new volume. Now he has what volume, like what we say in Arabic, a diwan, which contains a huge number of poems, short or long, whatever. With the title, this first volume is titled A Boy's Will. What time? 13th of the 20th century. That received grateful reviews and beholden reviews. So it was what? A new step. You remember what we have said about his first small book of poems, which he published on his own account, on his own payment, because he was not known, not famous among people, especially the publishers, especially those commercial, what we call organizations. Now he became famous, much better than before. Yeah, he could find his what you could vote in the right way to be distinctive poet, to start being well-known, celebrated, knowledgeable, whatever we can say. It is what? It is a trump. Trump. Following this trump of the volume, first moved to Gloucestershire, another city, مقاطعة أخرى, Gloucestershire, and concentrating on publication of his second book. After the first folio, what is the title? A Boy's Will. The second one appeared with the title North of Boston. When? The date, don't forget the date, please. 14 of the 20th century, 1914. Northern of Boston contains a number of his most regularly anthologized parts, including the most famous ones, including the death of the hired man, after apple picking, mending wall. These three, are some of the most famous, what we call poems in this collection, in this new book, second book. In a while, after North of Boston, after this second issue was issued, his family went back to America. Now he is in Gloucestershire in Britain, Buckinghamshire in Britain, in England. So returning to what? To America. His family, not he. Inhabiting in New Hampshire in USA. The American versions of first two books won critical praise upon publication in America. So the first two volumes, two huge books of poetry, published in Britain, in England, in Europe. After the coming back of his family to New Hampshire in USA, in America, they published his poems, and the what we call publicity increased, the fame increased. He became what? Most famous than he was before. The American version of first two books won critical praise upon publication in America. And in 1917, Forrest started his association with some American universities as a lecturer of literature and poetry. Here is important, This point is important. His association with some American universities as a lecturer. After working as a reporter, as we mentioned before, he became what? A lecturer of literature and poetry, especially poetry. So it is a great chance for him to deliver lectures of poetry, and he is a poet. Look to the great luck for a person. He continued writing prolifically for years and received many literary honors as well as tributes. Prolifically means, like we see, productively, with what? With a huge number, great number of writing, as well as tributes from the government of the United States and American universities. Robert Frost recited his poems in 1961. That you can find his poems recorded by his voice, and this is a good luck. So we cannot find, okay, the poems, the sonnets of Shakespeare by his voice, because the technology in that time was not, okay, permitted as it is now, as it is in the 20th century and in the 21st century. So you can find this poem that was not taken, read by Robert Frost himself, by his sound as a native. Okay, daughters, recited his poems in 1961 at the appointment of President Kennedy, John Kennedy, as the representative of the United States on some official task, like a pioneer, distinguished, okay, famous, well-known, knowledgeable man, to be selected to attend celebrations. These celebrations are national or are what you call social or even literary. His critical status weighing for the duration of the last amount of his career, although he received pronounced popular approbation and praise. Publicity becomes what? Higher. A man of high dignity in societies, among people, to be pointed by the hand, by the fingers. Okay? When he is walking the streets, okay, people will welcome him as a distinguished poet, Robert Frost. The last three collections received fewer passion reviews, but contain numerous pieces recognized as among his paramount accomplishment, to be among the best, the paramount accomplishment. Some of them, of course, not any poem to be written by a poet to be famous. Some poems are famous, some other no. And it is natural for all poets all over the world, all over the generations and lands. Some even of the Arabs. One verse line to distinguish a poem. The poem is written of 100 lines, some lines only the important. Some lines only the important, to make it what? To make it, okay, famous among others. Okay? And there are many examples we can say, but we don't want to waste time. But what we need to say as a witness, that a person, a poet, to write 100 poems. These 100 poems in a collection, in a diwan, in a volume, not all of them should be famous. Some of them, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, okay, to be the best. Others are okay, are accepted, are okay, understood or not understood, famous or not famous. This is the majority, the major points to be understood about this poet, Robert Frost. He died in Boston after a long life, exceeded 88 of years in 1963. MashaAllah, we can say MashaAllah, 88 years, a productive, prolific man in poetry. Now, to go to the poem, to our poem, dealing with ideas about it, what can we say? The poem, The Road Not Taken, which was first published in 1916, is one of the most eminent, prominent, famous poems of Robert Frost, in which its final 3 lines could be his most prominent. As I said, he became famous with this poem, and this poem is distinguished by the 3 last lines. Look, the final 3 lines to be his, what we call, most prominent. Let me find them. When we read them, we can what we call focus on them. Why they are what? They are prominent, they are eminent, they are famous. The poem, like various of first verse, is set in pastoral nature. هذا question في الاختبار ها? And environment that encourages the speaker and also the reader towards contemplation. Contemplation. You remember the title? The road not taken, reconsideration. Reconsideration. Here is the point. Contemplation. Thinking, yeah, deeply thinking. Contemplating events, okay, pictures, images in life, like that. Going ahead with the poem, still we are dealing with the poem, The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. The road not taken depends on a metaphor, as we mentioned higher up, where an expedition through life is parallel to a trip or a ride on a road. So the life, don't forget, is what? Parallel to a trip or a ride on a road. But now the road to be selected. Life is not one road. We go in one road, but it is not one road. We select, we choose. After choosing, it is what? It is limited, specific. The readers, like you, of this poem need to realize that the speaker, Robert Frost, of the poem is obliged to choose. In fact, it is not to be obliged. No, it is a decision, a choice. Is obliged to choose a route. Yes, okay, obligation is okay to choose, to choose, but not to move. He is obliged, okay, compelled to choose a way, a road instead of another. He has to choose this or that. He has no choice except one. From what? From two. So in this case, he is not obliged to go this way. He is not obliged to go that way. No, he is obliged to choose either this or that. This road or that road. This track or that track. Okay? And this point is very important because it speaks, as we said, about the philosophy of life. Okay? Though the roads look similarly attractive, the speaker distinguishes that his adoption, selection, yes, his adoption at this moment could have an important influence on tomorrow, like life. Okay, like life. You choose today what you need to do today, it will be what? It will be the result to be taken tomorrow. Okay? Here is we have a philosophical point to be realized. Very interesting. He makes a choice, and here's the natural thing, a choice, hoping that he might be able to go to see this place again. A hope, a dream for the person. Okay, if you travel to America, any one of you travel to America, to Japan, okay, for the first time, and you go from this way, you think after getting experience that you need to go the other way. You need to get what? To be familiar with the other. We need to discover, to know what is there in the other road. Okay? You travel to America or to Japan or to anywhere by plane in the first time. What is the second choice you need, you prefer, you dream? He hoping as a sort of option, dream that you need in the next time to travel to America by what? By through voyage, not by using the plane on the sea. Okay, there are two ways, there are two routes to travel to Japan, to travel to Italy, either by voyaging on the sea using a ship, touristic ship, and now what you can find very interesting touristic ship as a palace. I had the chance to have one, to travel one in 1995. Oh my God, how was it? Nice. Anyway, this place again, yet appreciating that such a chance, what? Such a chance is unlikely. If you get for the first time, the second time is what? Maybe is possible, maybe is not. The speaker, we can say that he is the poet, imagines and symbolizes himself in the future, informing the account of his life. As I said, a dream. That this way, this poem is symbolizing his dreams of future and demanding that his choices to take the route less traveled by. Now he chose, he selected, he decided to take what? The less traveled by. Why? Any answer can be true. It should be what? Logical. It should be logical. Why he chose, why he decided to go through the less trodden, the less traveled by. Maybe he is a brave. Maybe he wants to go through an adventure. Maybe he needs to know more than others know. Everything is what? All of these things are possible. Symbolism. Symbolism is, okay, important in this poem. Don't forget this one. Don't forget this one also. Roots and morning. When we read the poem, we can focus on it. So what is the message? The poet has a message. He wants his audience, his readers, his listeners to realize, to understand. Kindly find it, read it, very simply. The text. Let's go to the last three lines. The last three lines, which are the most important of his poem, as many critics say. Okay, the last three lines of the last fourth stanza. The stanza says, I shall be telling this with a sigh. Sigh means perplexed, perplexed, cannot decide. Somewhere, ages and ages hence. Ages and ages referring to what? To life, not to a specific time. Okay, to open life. Two roads diverged in a wood and I. Two roads diverged in a wood and I. What we know about wood? Wood is life. So, and life has many roads. But he, in his mind, in his plan, in his decision, there are only two. Okay? And he has to choose, he has to decide. And after choosing, after deciding, he bears the consequence. Okay? He bears the results. Okay? I took the one less traveled by. I took the one less traveled by. Again, as we said, less traveled by means no many people go through. Why? It can be dangerous, it can be problematic, it can be difficult. And he has this one, he has, did you study Dr. Faustus? We have similar, what we call similar ideas we can compare our point to Dr. Faustus. When he wanted to have extra knowledge, different knowledge, to go through adventure. But this adventure, the adventure of Dr. Faustus, is not permitted. He fell down. His ambition was higher than the mind permit. Okay? To forget the principles of knowledge, the medicine, the law, the religion, the philosophy, and to choose the magic, black magic. This is Dr. Faustus, huh? But the matter is different. And we have the comparison between the two in a sort of adventure that they need something, I mean, maybe not easy, Not everyone can do. Less traveled by, can be difficult, it can be dangerous, it can be problematic. And here is what cannot be done except for the strong people. Look to the life. Life is what? Not straight. Life is not straight. Okay, you can go here. Some of you are from Bani Malik, for example. Those from Bani Malik, when they come to the college of Al-Mandak, they have a direct straight road, the touristic one, Siyahi. But also they can go through another way, more than one, to go to Al-Adawla, from Al-Adawla to go to Al-Taif, and from Bani al-Harith, they go again to Bani Malik. Can you realize the idea? Can you realize the difficulty, timing, problems, so and so? This is just an example, a concrete example to put in your mind. Good, Sarah. You are following the point. Thank you, Bin Saeed. And that has made all the difference. The choosing, I selected the less traveling. By this selection, by this decision, it has made the difference. The difference between whom? Between those, what you call natural people, and those intellectual people. Natural means the layman, originally the general one, who doesn't have a sort of spirit, a sort of challenge, a sort of adventuring. And that has made all the difference in what? In the selection. Okay? So these are the most important three lines of the poem. Of course, as we say the learners, we can say that the poem, the total poem is important, but we focus on this three lines to realize to realize why these lines are very important, more than the others. Okay. They are the reason for what? For being, the total poem is famous. The wood is life. Life is like the wood because no one can clearly see or predict, understand, predict, imagine what will happen in the future. Sure, due to the obstacles in the way, such as branches and bushes. Here, what with the branches and bushes in where? In wood. What can we say in life? Branches and bushes, difficulties, problems, okay, impossibilities, okay, like that, which blind our eyes, blind the walkers, the one who go. Our here means those who go. Our means for those who go, who move. Now, we speak about the form, the design, the structure, the composing, which is the most important point in literature in a poem. In a poem, we deal with what? With meaning and form. We deal with the content and form. The form here is what? Structure. What can we say? The road taken is composed of 4 stanzas. Done. Each stanza of 5 lines. Done. هذه مهمة، هذه ممكن تجيكم في الاختبارات. Don't forget that. كيف؟ بالنسبة للأعداد ما في شك. I can say that a question. The poem The Road Not Taken is composed of 5 stanzas. Each stanza contains of 4 lines. True or false? Answer quickly. Answer. True. Sarah. Wrong. Wrong. You are sleeping. I say, the poem The Road Not Taken is composed of 5 stanzas. Each stanza contains 4 lines. True or false? The sleepers. B. What is B? It is false. شروق وسارة وشروق خضرانة. B, it says if false. Yes, you have to be careful about that. Good. You have to be careful about that. Moving to the next point, the rhyme. The rhyme is easy, as I said at the beginning, so it is a repetition now to help you. A, B, A, B. And we can generalize all, but also we can say C, D, C, C, D. E, F, E, E, F, E, E, F. Like that. That the learners need to understand the first line of all stanzas rhymes with what? With the third and the fourth. The first, the third, the fourth in each line of the stanza. Whereas the lines number 2 rhymes with the line of number 5. Let's go back to the line. Huh? Quickly, this one. The first one, and the second one, and the third one. The first line with what? With the third, with the fourth. The second with what? With the fifth. All of them. In all of them, they are rhyming in such a way. Okay? Rhyming is now clear. Most of the lines of this poem are composed in an interrupted or loose iambic meter. The rhythm is not regular. It is what? Interrupted or loose, free, open. As we know that an iambic fourth covers 2 syllables, divided as an unaccented one followed by an accented one. Unaccented followed by accented. Unaccented means weak or unstressed, followed by accented means strong or stressed. Since most of the lines compasses 9 syllables, the poem is not exactly, this is important, the poem is not exactly what? Iambic, because the rhythm is what? Is interrupted, loose. The rhythm is not regular, is not completely regular. Frequent, it is frequent. Frequently, the additional syllable is unaccented and occurs adjoining the pauses or caesura. Caesura means fasla, within the line itself. The meter is illustrated as in the coming line, then talk, the other, as just, as fair. So as me, as a second language acquisition, not the native speaker, I can say that reading, then talk, the other, as just, as fair. But there should be what? With the realizing the caesura, this fasula, caesura, that the caesura mark 2. Then talk, weak, the other, strong, or the opposite, as just, as fair. Then talk, then weak. Talk, the other, the unaccented, other accented, as just, as is weak, unaccented, just, strong or accented. The same, as fair. Here is what to be like this, and here to be strong. Okay? The first one is weak, strong, weak, strong, weak, strong, weak, strong. Okay? Now, as I said, again, I'd like you to repeat the form and the structure, the design. It is very important. Moving to the themes, we have, I think, 2 important themes in this poem. The first one is individualism. Individualism for a person. Again, what we can say, can a person contribute to the welfare of life? Yes. Negatively or positively, it depends. But they can do that. And the individual can be what of crucial, powerful, what you call elements in life. On the superficial indication, the the surface meaning. The road not taken, this poem appears to be encouraging the researcher. The researcher means the goer, the walker, as well as the reader, to go along the path less traveled by in life. A not very subtle image for existing life as a singular and selecting independence for its own sake at the time every other contemplation come up equivalent. What does that mean? It means that the person can be an independent in his decision, in his selection, okay? But also the others are surrounding. Individuality should be taken not for granted, but after realizing what? The correctness of the events, through what? Through contemplation. What we know about contemplation, contemplation means reconsideration, reconsidering. You need to do something, and not to go, not only to go. You need to do something. What is this something? What is its benefit? What is its danger? What is its negative points? Points. What are its positive points? Selection is important by the individual, but also it can be not complete if the person himself insists to take something, to go through something, to do something without realization, without contemplation, without being greedy. Again, without being greedy. There is a proof, a witness, a fact that makes this clarification rational. Rational means accepted, accepted by your mind. The dominant situation is that one has to decide on one road or the other without concession. It's up to the selector. And absolutist state is that similar to the way that ethical problems are often expressed. Ethical problems are always what are often expressed. The ethical problems connected with what with the society. Decisions on the problematic ethics. Now, as I said, we speak about a philosophical matter within this theme of individualism. The individual, the person. Is he living alone in life? Of course, no. But the person has a crucial status, crucial position, crucial rank in the society to be completing the welfare of the others, not to be for himself alone. The tune of the road not taken is another pointer that a significant decision is being prepared with careful, yes, underline that. If you're following with me, with careful, not with hushed, with contemplation, as we said here, where is it? With contemplation, with what? With reconsideration, with careful cautiousness, cautious concentration, with cautiousness. Concentration. Concentration means contemplation, but the same meaning here. Concentration تركيز, contemplation تأمل, but reconsideration is the center, is the focus. It is rational for the learner to assume that this is what the meaning is intended. The connotation, not the direct meaning. What we need is not the direct meaning, not the what we call denotation. We need the connotation instead. To be, so much is what? So much is the actually devoted to the choice. To be the actual devoted to the choice. Here we can say that he needs something may be special. You devote something to something to someone for a purpose. What is this purpose? Success, welfare, benefit for the person, for the individual, as well as for the community, for the society. And the through traveler, your travel path is the selected one. The speaker of the road not taken is not sure that individuality is the correct route to choose. He is not sure, okay, thinking that, okay, he can take it not for, okay, randomly, but after thinking. And after thinking, after starting, after commencement, he carries the responsibility. The fewer traveled path, which is selected, the fewer traveled path, which is selected, is said to be only possible that have a better privilege. For what? Privilege for what? For adventuring. For adventurer. For adventuring. Okay? For the strong people, people who have challenge. The speaker speaks that when he checks on such adoption with the profit of increased experience, what is the result? What should be? He will side, as we mentioned at the beginning, as he said at the beginning. If this is the statement of individuality, it is a moderately flimsy or insubstantial one. Flimsy or insubstantial one. The poet or the speaker of the poem does not rejoice individualism, but agrees to it. He is not exactly happy about this one, but he agrees, even if he doesn't prefer it. The next theme is choices and consequences. Choice, consequence, selection, decision, and the result. The path that split into two, not the same directions, constantly presents a selection to be prepared in life and in poetry. The speaker of the road not taken of this poem is not satisfied about having to make such selection, as we said, okay, in the individuality. Maybe he is not happy, he is not what satisfied, but he has to choose. If he is strong, having a mind of adventurer, he can go through the less trodden by, the less traveled by, and tells that he may prefer to use both paths. Anyone wants to get the best, but after experience, after getting experience, if you have no experience, you have to choose. And it is your luck then, it is your fate after choosing, not before. If the speaker will be one traveler, in this case, the situation or the matter will be naturally difficult. Such case raises a logical question of identity for the person. Identity here is referring back to individuality. What does the poem imply? What does it refer to? What does it indicate? What does it show? What is the deep or connotative point we need to understand from this poem? The answer is stated even indirectly. Okay, it's because it is what it is connotative. It is implicit, not explicit. The most significant factor to the ponder when making a decision. What is that? The path of the action preferred, the path of the road preferred should assimilate with the choice, should be accepted with the choice, should go with the mind that one has made in the past. The researcher, the writer, understands that the speaker is troubled about being confronted, yes, facing with two roads, two problems. The roads to choose, they are what problematic. So he's troubled, troubled as we said, that had two dissimilar directions, that lead to dissimilar directions. Choosing might take the walker to different way. They are not going to the same point, since the wrong decision will lead to one, deprivation, number two, and number three, maybe needness of reliability. Needness of reliability. All these three are important as a consequence, okay, of the selection, of the choosing, as we mentioned, because the title of this theme is consequences after choosing. The narrator of the poem, the road not taken, is conscious. He knows, conscious or knows of the implications, of the hidden implications of selecting badly, and doesn't see enough change between the two paths to make one obvious as obvious the decision, or as the obvious decision. In this case, the decision should be taken, whatever the results should be. He is compelled. However, it is the nature of life, to conclude with this one, to reach our point that, yeah, the road or the roads need selection. As the life, you have to decide before taking any action, that selecting cannot be evaded. You have to do. You cannot avoid. Okay? You cannot leave. I think this is more than enough. We come to the end of today's session. I hope it is somehow clear. I advise you to revise again, read again, listen to the poem, discover the analysis of the meaning line by line. You can find it on your website on Rafid. You can find the analysis, the line by line is there. Very simple, for it, very easy. Here we have what we need to focus on, some philosophical and logical point of view concerning poetry of Robert Frost in his poem, very beautiful poem. What is it? The road not taken. This is the end of this session. Thank you for listening. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.